go ahead and get talking about some of our tools. Okay, so I'll add one thing is that if you want to if you have any questions at any point, just go ahead and ask in chat. I have chat up. Um, I haven't done this in a while, so I am doing my level best to pay attention to chat and and talk at the same time. So, like I said, I'm not I'm not a gifted Twitch streamer. There is a reason I have the job I have, and not this one. So, we are going to be using a number of different software packages in class. For the most part, I know that on the syllabus, I do note that that having a Macintosh is a bit of a disadvantage. I don't want to say that if you have a Macintosh, it's going to be a problem because it won't. And in fact, there is a workaround for this, which is to say that you can always go to the virtual lab. If you're an Eisenberg student, you always have access to the virtual lab. If you are not an Eisenberg student, then by dint of the fact that you were in this class today, you do have access to it. And so the way that we'll get to that is by going to, you just open up a web browser, you go to desktop.eisenberg.umass.edu, and what that's going to do is bring up a login portal here. We have, this is quite a bit improved over the previous iteration from last year, in the sense that you actually have everything synced up with OneDrive. So you're going to use your Spire username and your Spire password here, and you'll log in. You're going to be presented, I believe, with only two options here. I have a couple extra because I'm faculty. But you're going to go to the student computer lab, and what that does is it just gives you a a desktop image as though you were at the in the lab. So it takes a moment to kick on, but the crux of the thing is that it's almost exactly as though you're in the lab. And so if you have, okay, well, that didn't happen last time. And so you can, let's say, go to, you can pull up Heidi SQL, for example. Let's say you have a Mac, you don't have Heidi SQL, you'd like to use Heidi SQL. You can use it that way. So that is always an option, is that you have this virtual lab. I don't, there are some drawbacks to it. It's not perfect, but it works. So so the one time I would definitely recommend using it is for SAP. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but we're not going to get to that until April. So what we're going to be doing sooner is playing with ERD Plus. So ERD Plus is a database mapping program. This is web-based, and so it doesn't matter what kind of computer you're using it on. If you have a Windows PC, if you have a Macintosh, if you have an iPad Pro, as long as you have a web browser, a reasonably modern web browser, you're fine. And so the thing with ERD Plus is that you need to create an account. So this is not affiliated with me or with UMass in any way. It's actually, I'm not even sure it's affiliated with the book, but the book does use it. And also the various the various aspects of this are set up in a way that correspond to the book, so it works out really well. There are some other options that you have for ER diagramming. I really don't recommend them. Microsoft Visio is one of them. So it's really just a diagram. I mean, you can draw them by hand too. That's frankly better than Visio. But that's just something to keep in mind. This is web-based. It works perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and log into mine and just do a very brief thing. Oh, and I see I have a and Neve, I do remember Neve. Uh, so so thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I'm glad you came back. Um, and that's great to hear. Um, and so I'm uh, so hopefully you can stick around and we can talk about ERD plus a little bit. Um, so what we're going to be doing with ERD plus, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it just yet because we're not doing this until next week. Um, but the but you're going to want to create a new diagram. In this case, we're doing ER diagrams. This is chapter 2, relational schemas, chapter 3, star schemas, chapter 8. So we can just go ahead and create a new diagram and give it a name. And the basic way that we use this, I'm not going to go far beyond this, is that I create this and it doesn't automatically boot me into it. So we have to open that. And it's going to give me this blank canvas here. This is where I'm going to do all my work, is in this white area. The three major things I'm going to want to be using are entities, attributes, and relationships. Um, Most of the time you're going to be dropping entities. And so the way I do that is to click on entity and then click somewhere on the white canvas. And then we can name it. Let's say all of the options are going to be on the right side. When you have something highlighted, it is blue. You can drag it around, and so on. It's reasonably user friendly. I don't want to waste too much time with this. And then when we have, let's say, attributes, then we can add one from there. The other thing that is worth talking about is that if we have something just on the canvas, then we can take that attribute, we can hit this connect button, and we drag from one to the other. And so both of these cases are both of these cases will work. So there's a question in chat: do we have to buy the book for this class? You do not have to buy the book. I recommend it, and I do assume that you have read it. So it's required in the sense that that I do base my prep quizzes and my exams off of that. Having said that, I include other information. I am producing videos, and then also I will upload my previous my previous quizzes. I'm sorry, not quizzes. My previous PowerPoint decks are also available. Um, so should you do the quiz before you get the textbook? I would just, if you buy a physical copy and it's not coming until Saturday, I would just say go ahead and wait till Saturday. Um, I will not penalize you for taking the first prep quiz late until probably next week because people are coming and going. I don't want to, and it's not exactly fair to make people read those books before they get in the class, and I'm not going to hold different people to different standards. So as long as you take the prep quiz before arbitrarily a week from today, you're fine. As far and just to reiterate on the book, do you have to buy it? I mean, I'm not going to check on it. I would strongly recommend it, but it's not. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to disadvantage you in any way if you don't have the book. I use homework problems from the book. I copy them verbatim and put them in the assignment and so on. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I'd point out, the videos that I make are the videos that I make are done in such a way that that they highlight the important aspects of of what I'm talking about. The thing here is that since the prep quizzes are also highlighting that, it will usually work. If if you watch the video, you can probably get a full 2 points on the quiz. If you don't, just wait till the book gets there and take it again later. Okay, so this is going to be the tool that we're using. It's reasonably user friendly. I will go into the usage of it in class when we actually get to it next week. If there are, but just to kind of introduce you to the basics of it, then that's what we're going to be using for the next month or so. And all right, I even talked about some basic usage. Yeah. So with relational schemas and star schemas, just in case you're watching this later, this VOD later, you're going to want to drag opposite where the arrow should indicate. That probably doesn't make any sense right now, but it will in a week or two. Okay, so HeidiSQL is the next program that we're going to be using. We're not going to start using this until at minimum the 4th of March. So you got some time. So this is a Windows and Linux only program. I don't know why it works on Linux and not Mac, but I'm not the software developer. And I think that it's great for a number of reasons that I'll get into. The rub here is that if you download it, it's HeidiSQL.com, and you can download it as you would download any other software. This has been getting updates more and more, but keeping ads here. But you have the options for downloads. There's the installer, which I think is probably the easiest way to do it. You can also use the portable version, which is to say it's just an exe file that you can open up. The installer, I think, has some benefits, namely that it saves your sessions. So, so just to kind of go through this real briefly, on Blackboard, you will note that there is a file that there's a file on the course content that goes into that has the connection information. I'm not going to pull it up because this is public, but it also has a password in there. That file, where is HeidiSQL going? And that file can be imported directly into HeidiSQL. Let's try this one more time. Oh, this computer is painful. Okay. So when you open up HeidiSQL, you're going to be presented with this. With something that looks like this. You're not going to have these sessions because I use it for other stuff too. But we have a class we have a database for class that has the various. If you're experienced with database programs or if you're technically literate I would say at a reasonably advanced level, you can probably figure this out. Otherwise, HeidiSQL just has everything kind of built in. I have yet to come across a Mac variant of HeidiSQL that I think is adequate or is as good as HeidiSQL. So I haven't. So I am reluctant to recommend one just yet. Although if you are a Mac user and you have a suggestion, please run it by me. So we have this. So I have my information imported. The way that we would import it is to go here where it says More and import a settings file. From there, you're going to import the settings file oimsql.txt. That's downloadable on the Blackboard course content site, and it'll populate this. Open that up, and you'll get this. And so this is going to be kind of our home base for most of March. If you can get to this screen, then you're golden for that. Uh, so the important part is this query. This is where we're going to be doing our. This is where we're typing in our queries. You can run this by hitting this execute SQL or F9 button, and then we'll get the results here. Under any circumstance, HeidiSQL still works in the on the lab image. It also has the settings automatically populated, so that's great. Um, if you want to use it on your local computer, which I think is a little bit easier, then you can also download that. Again, unfortunately, not Mac compatible. I don't know if it works with Parallels or what. So we have HeidiSQL. We have our ERD plus. For the last month of class, we're going to be primarily using, we're going to be using three different programs. First is ERD plus for star schemas, and so we already talked about that one. The second is Tableau. Tableau is free for students. It's expensive if you're not a student, um, but they will give you a year license. Uh, I You can get that license at any point. I would recommend that you just wait until we actually start the unit to apply for it, because that way, especially if you're graduating, then you can kind of stretch it out as long as you want. Um, it's also This program is also used in OIM 454. So so if you I believe that this license is renewable, as long as you're a student, so that's fine. But it works on PC, it works on Mac, it works on Linux, and probably, I mean, I'm sure at some point there's going to be a web version too. So you can download it at tableau.com. There's a student license application that you need to go through at tableau.com/academic/students. Again, like, I don't think that I don't think there's a turnaround time on it. I think it's automatic. You just need an edu email address. So I would wait until probably April to do it. This we're doing Tableau we're starting Tableau on the 6th of April. So as long as you have it ready before then, and of course I'll remind you. So it's not as though I need you to write this in your calendar. Again, Tableau is available on the Eisenberg virtual desktop image. You don't need to worry about downloading it or the license or anything like that. In that case, with the caveat or with the downside that it's that you're running it on a remote computer and it might be a little slow. On drawing the various stuff. So depending on your computer, it might actually be faster to use the other aspects of it. So finally, the last one is SAP. I really just don't recommend you download SAP, um, for a number of reasons. The first is that the software is. I understand the software to be Windows only. It may not be at this point. They may have updated that software to be Mac compatible. Um, but SAP has a number of different products, and and we are using a small subset of them. So specifically, we're using SAP Business Objects Analysis (BOA) and SAP Business Query Explorer or BEX. Um, the so I note that only because I understand. I don't know if I have any in this class, but I do know that in some cases, especially for international students, who might still be in let's say China or in Vietnam or elsewhere, uh, that if you're trying to access the Eisenberg web server from literally halfway around the world, then it might be a little bit it might be unusably slow. Uh, the So in that case, you might want to download this SAP, or you might want to download SAP. SAP and Tableau also are going to be group projects for this semester because of the remote learning aspect. Ergo, if you are in a situation where you have where you can't download SAP for whatever reason or download Tableau for whatever reason, and you can't use it, uh, then then you can probably arrange with your group to take on some other role. So that wasn't necessarily the exact reason that I did that, but it's a nice side effect. So those are all the software packages that we're going to be using in class. Uh, I'd say that ideally I'd like to transition at some point into all web based stuff because it's that's kind of how it is at this point, or how it should be, I think. But we're not quite there yet. So so we so if you're having any issues with any of these installations, then by all means let me know. I have limited ability to troubleshoot Macintosh stuff because I just don't have a Mac, and I really don't, and I can't mess around with it on my own. Um, but if you have a Windows machine, then I can probably help you out a bit more. So at the same time, I would say that there's always the option to just use the Iceberg Lab image, and and that'll be that has everything on it that needs to be there. So, are there any questions about the software, about Chapter One, about anything else that I could answer? Um, and I don't know. I guess I need to learn how to juggle or something, so I have some stuff to do. Okay, well, that's what I have. So I would say a couple parting words. We're going to be back on Zoom on Tuesday. Zoom on Tuesday, Twitch on Thursday. I'm interested in feedback if you have any. Uh, do the prep quizzes. The prep quiz for the prep quiz for Chapter One was due today. Again, it's fine if you're a little late on that, especially given that books are that some people have hardcover books and so on, hard hard copy books. The I would say um, that the video in this case also probably covers a lot of that, uh, and um, and so on. So besides SQL and Heidi SQL, what else should we download? So Heidi SQL is in fact SQL. Um, Heidi SQL is the SQL client we're going to be using. Uh, I think that if you want to download Tableau, then that would be the way to go. So do not download SAP. You don't need to download ERD Plus, but Heidi SQL is a definite recommend for downloading, and then Tableau I'd probably say that's a good one. Are there prep quizzes for every class, including Tuesdays? There are prep quizzes for most classes, including Tuesdays. Yes. The classes where there are not prep quizzes are the ones that have an asterisk indicated on the schedule. And so typically these are the exam reviews and the exams themselves. There's no prep quiz for those, but there are prep quizzes for let's say for both the Tuesday and Thursday class next week. There's a prep quiz, and the Tuesday and Thursday class the week after that. Again, these are really just to make sure that we're on the same page before class starts. It's not meant to make you think super deeply. It's just kind of it's an encouragement to read the book, let's say. So yes, there are prep quizzes for most classes. Any other questions? How do you import credentials into Heidi SQL? Yes, I will go over that. So on Heidi SQL, I close Heidi SQL because I am a silly person. but the so the what you're going to do is on that first page, um, there is a which should be blank. Um, there's a more button in the lower lower right hand side. Um, so and so in that more you're going to import the settings from file, and then is you're going to take that text file um, from the that was on Blackboard, and you're just going to point to that file and import it. And so at some point this is going to do this. Um, okay, so a couple questions. I'm going to get back to the. I'm going to re-demonstrate the Heidi SQL thing. I